spiritual focus to nurture unconditionally. Christic pure symbol, 2 hands cupped in which a white dove is cradled. The Christed Yeshua's words, "Come unto me, all ye who are heavily laden, and I will refresh thee." When we think of Isis, of course we feel her presence as Mother of the World, the ultimate goddess. And of course she can be found in many other archetypal forms, Astarte and other images, archetypes. But in Isis, there seems to be a purity about her that can only be compared to Mother Mary or Mary Magdalene, that kind of birther of worlds, birther of the sons of God. The physical Isis, the one who first represented her and thus holds the most presence of her experience, was the soul indeed of Mother Mary, the mother of Yeshua, the twin ray of Yeshua. Many think of the Magdalene as the twin ray, but she was actually what Thoth calls a arc affinity. And she was really more than that to him. But, we really don't understand these terminologies. The way we present them are not accurate entirely. So it's difficult to say twin ray and things like that, because from Thoth's perspective, we're just not getting the picture, or at least the whole picture. But suffice to say, this soul, according to the Thothic record, was the mother of Mary. She represents that ray consciousness of the spiritual unity of flesh and spirit. It's like the whole crucible of continuation of the divine in incarnation comes through the vessel of the mother. And that vessel of the mother is very much exemplified by both Isis and Mariana, or the mother of Yeshua. And so for us personally, when we think of Isis or attune to her archetype and energy field, we are entering the realm of the creatrix, of that which gives birth to the divine sons, S-O-N-S, S-U-N-S, because it is a cosmic principle really, and not just pertaining to divine births on the earth. And everyone, every human being, is essentially a divine birth. We have come through a miracle of life to present ourselves in this incarnational form. And Isis is at the cradle. She rocks the cradle. That is the energy, the pure essence she represents. Spiritual focus, to speak, to sound, to sing the word of God in all ways. Christic pure symbol, an angel blowing upon a spiraled golden horn. The Christed Yeshua's words: I am the sounding in the hills, I am the cry in the wilderness. I call thee up to the mountain, I carry thee down to the sea. In all manner of becoming is my voice in thee. Khunum is associated with the god Ta, who was considered by the Egyptians the ultimate creator god existing before all things. However, from Thoth's perspective, it really represented the creational power of the masculine in regard to creating out of the feminine clay. In other words, the goddess gave birth to the clay, and out of the clay was molded by the divine masculine the forms out of that crucible. And so, from Thoth's perspective, Ta was more the one who brought into existence those things which have form. There was also a soul who incarnated, who had the title of Ta, and as with Thoth, who had the title of Thoth, there were many other personages through time who took that title to represent something they were doing in regard to their office or service. But Thoth was the ultimate Thoth, and the soul that incarnated as the ultimate Ta was actually, in incarnation, the brother-in-law of Thothracemus of Afra. So we have a very human element added to the picture here. But if we look at the actual creational forms, the archetypal forms, we can see that the temple of Khunum, which we went to on our sacred journey, was that which contained originally a place of worshiping Ta, of actually attuning to those vibrations. We tend to think of worshiping in a whole different way now, because when the gods of Israel, the God of Israel was made manifest in the hearts and minds of the individuals, and there should be no other God but the one, we began to see these gods and goddesses as those beings who were worshipped, and actually that was never the case, certainly not originally. So in the original temple of Khunum, which was not the one you see in this picture here, but way beneath it, because temples were built upon temples that were built upon temples, it was the sacred ground that was important, the node on the earth. So in the original temple, they gathered to dance and sing and sound the praise of the God of the universe, not Ta, but the God of the universe. And that singing, that humming, that toning was creative. It brought into existence. So they weren't doing just regular kind of singing, not even the kind that you would find in some other temples like the Temple of Bast or whatever. Their tones were very deep and core, and it was tonalities, not chanting in the sense of other forms. It was very deep in the presence of creative principle, and usually sung by male voices. There were at times female priestesses involved, but mostly the temple of Khunum was a male priest format. So for us, in our current reality, an initiation with Khunum, the temple of Ta. We can get in touch, obviously, with our divine masculine, and also see how the feminine wraps itself as the clay within that crucible and needs to be supple, mutable, so that the divine masculine can form it into enduring presences on the earth that take form, that take meaning through the object. As Thoth has said, matter does matter. Spiritual focus. Embrace the eternality of the soul. Christic pure symbol. A cool spring bubbling forth from the ground. The Christed Yeshua's words, "In thy heart is a place eternal, a field of lilies, a harp of stars. Yea, I lead thee there in the night, that ye may awake amidst the bright and endless reaches of the universe, and know the day without end." While Hathor is a strong presence in the temple of Dendara, it is really much more than that. However, the original temple, again, is not the temple we see, or the ruins of the temple we see on the surface. It's in another layer below it. And when we were in Egypt, and I'd already received that information, I mentioned that to a tour guide there, and he said, "Oh yes, we know there's another temple beneath this one." However, if we look at what is on the surface of the surface temple, the ruins of it, we can see a lot of what was exemplified on the one beneath it. Although the one beneath it had more presence of the original Ennead, the original grouping of ultra beings, and the pictographs and the things represented there would have been a deeper and richer model of that. The one on the surface is nevertheless a very rich model. It has a lot of complexity to it. And the first part, the one that was built the first, was what is known as the Temple of Hathor, and the other parts were added to it. So it has a lot of different energies in the mix. But Thoth chose to focus on the embracing of the eternality of the soul. And so we see here, just as the soul is eternal and it has a lot of complex parts to it that come together in a unified simplicity, we can also see the Temple of Dendara representing that as well. Different aspects of the human experience in relationship to its eternal soul, its eternal being. So when we connect to the Temple of Hathor in initiation, we're receiving a lot of multi-layers of experience of that eternality and what it means to us as we live our seemingly finite lives on this planet. How may we live these lives as if they are truly eternal? because indeed they are. Only the bodies change. And the Temple of Dendara holds that focus for us as we enter initiation into that temple.